Well, Supt Vogt, always good to see you. How are you today?
Good morning, Seth. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking, and thank you for making time for us. Always good to have you on the program. It's interesting. The topic we're going to dive into today, Mrs. Vogt, is one. There's a lot of things that are kind of circling right now among your peers. One being the substitute shortage, budget time. Obviously, a lot of these things are cyclical, so you all deal with them at the same time. It's interesting to me though that the topic we're going to dive into today, a lot of you are having to kind of deal with at the same time again, like right now, and that is explaining how school finances work. I know, just to kind of give you a little background, and I'm sure I don't know if you touch base with Drew Goebel, our superintendent over here, but our community had seen this summer a major renovation to our football complex, new football turf, new track. Next spring and summer, they're going to install flip bleachers, install a new press box. And that got the community asking, why are we spending money on this and not investing it in the classroom? Why are we doing this and not other things? And the complicated answer is school finances are complicated. I'll kind of let you break this down from there, Mrs. Vogt.
And Seth, I don't claim to be an expert by any means, just my third year in the job. I'm still learning as well. But what I have learned quickly is the way I manage my budget and plan projects at home, which is what the general public can relate to, is just different than the way you manage and plan for projects in a school setting.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that, with the school districts where the county has the 1% sales tax, where the school gets a portion of those proceeds, that money can only be spent on certain items like construction projects, renovations. It can't be spent on salaries and materials.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what the Clinton School District is using, some of their funding for their projects, well, that's the short answer is that money can't be used for salaries and student materials, because that's the way the legislature has arranged everything. When I think about some of our projects that we want to do, sometimes it's simply a matter of I need to have a dumpster delivered in order to remove X, Y, or Z. Well, I can't have a dumpster delivered in the middle of our parking lot while we have students and staff here every day. So those are things that we push off until the summer, so that there's more flexibility in who we have coming and going in our building. We have a roof leak at home. We call our local roof guy, hey, come out, write the check, there you go. But if I have a roof leak here, then it's a matter of one, finding somebody who's available to get on the roof of a 3-story 1800s building and have materials that work for our facility. But then also managing what fund can I pay that out of?
Yeah.
Is it something that can be a safety fund? Is it something that is a building fund? And so, it's not just a matter of taking out the checkbook and getting the repair done.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that the general public isn't always aware of, is that we have certain requirements and certain, if it's a planned project, we might have to put a request for proposals out and then go to the bid process. If it's above a certain dollar amount, that has different requirements than if it's less than that dollar amount. So that's where I feel like the general public, if they really want to understand it, they can go to their local school district and sit down with the superintendent. They'll probably get more information than they anticipated. But I just feel like the general public isn't always aware that we can't manage school districts the way we manage finances at home. And we have to answer to the state board. We have to answer to the legislators who put these laws in place that then we have to follow.
Well, and on top of that, and I don't know if schools work quite the same way as, say, like a municipal government, a county government. But if you want to spend money at home, sometimes the text goes from spouse to spouse, significant other to significant other, child to parent, parent to child, whatever the case may be. But with taxpayer dollars, and again, like I said, I don't know if school districts work quite the same way as city and county governments, but you've got to take a vote on those things. It's not as simple as you texting your school board president, hey, I'm going to drop $140,000 on a new roof today. Is that peachy? That's not exactly how that works.
You are exactly right, Seth. And I feel like municipalities and county boards operate very similarly to school districts, and some of their funding sources are also very similar to what school districts experience. And then, yes, there is that level of if it's an emergency, if it's something that has to be done right away, then that's a project that I would email my entire board and say, this is what's happening, this is what we have to do. But if it's a planned project, then yes, we would have a presentation when we have had projects go out to bid. That includes the board approving the final bid, and then sending that paperwork back to the company that the board approved their bid.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is you got to go out for bid on all these things. At home, it's fine and well to have your brother-in-law, your cousin's company come in and do the work for you. Maybe you get a discount because of that relative relationship, or you and your buddy just jump on the roof and his part of his company helps you out or whatever. But you all have to go out for bid. I don't know if there's, I'm blanking on the term, where you have to have a certain level of workmanship towards a project, those sorts of things. It's very complicated how taxpayer dollars get spent, albeit at the local level. At the state level, it seems like it's rather flippant, but that's a conversation for another day, I reckon.
Yes. Yeah, and a large reason why there are so many steps in the process is to be transparent and make sure that taxpayers are aware of what's happening. So, most of us are going to start talking about the levy here in the next few weeks as well.
Right.
For that levy process, that is our way of asking taxpayers to help support and fund our school district. And so we need to be able to say, this is how much money we're asking for, and here's why.
For sure. Again, Mary Vogt, Superintendent of Bement Schools, our guest on the Zoom call today. Mrs. Vogt, what prompted this in your district, if you don't mind me asking?
I've had some questions about, why, out of our football field that we use one time a year, why haven't we addressed certain issues out of that football field? Well, because in the meantime, what they're not seeing is we've completely redone our network. We have replaced all of our security cameras. We're tightening things up within the facility that the public can't see. And so then explaining that actually what they're asking about is on our plan for next summer's work, because it just makes more sense. Like I said, pulling a dumpster in and doing a major cleanup. We have a building out there from the 1920s that has items stored in it that nobody has used for close to a decade, that I still have to pay insurance to cover the building because we have items in it, that if we could just clean that out, work on getting rid of the building because it's not safe to use, then I won't have to keep paying insurance to cover the building and its contents. But that's just not something that we would do during the school year because of the time that it will take away from our staff. Yeah. And we need them in the building when the kids are in the building.
It's interesting. Your community's asking, why aren't we addressing our sports facilities? And in Clinton, we're asking, why are we addressing our sports facilities? And but again, but to your point that you made there, Mrs. Vogt, is a lot of times what districts do in terms of spending on facilities often isn't seen. And while they're necessary things that you're doing, it's not the aesthetic appeal of a new, football turf. It's not the aesthetic of a new, front of your building, new lights, a new parking lot, all of those things that just oftentimes are nice, to look at and see as you drive by, but they're, the projects you're talking about are equally necessary.
Absolutely. And there have been stories in the newspaper. We have published it on our social media. The news stations from Decatur and Champaign have come out and done stories on our network and security upgrades. But, if a person isn't watching or reading at the moment that it comes out, then they're not aware. And so I'm working with the Bement Foundation so that as they send out a newsletter here later this fall, I have sent them information about what we have been working on, and then hoping to work with them to have some of that private funding to do some more projects that will be more visible to the public.
Like what, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't say yet, Seth.
Hey, that's all right.
I gotta keep you hanging.
I guess we'll find out when it comes around, right?
Right, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, so we have a couple things in mind, so I would rather narrow it down and have a solid plan before we start advertising.
Sure. Very good. Well, Mrs. Vogt, final thoughts on school funding, how it works, where money goes, all those things maybe we didn't touch on. Anything I didn't get to today you want to put out there?
Seth, I'm gonna say again what I've said before. 2 years ago, I could not have sat here and had this conversation with you. So it's pretty amazing in the job. Like those first couple of years, it's not a learning curve. It's a learning slope that goes almost straight up when it comes to school finances. So I feel really good about being able to have a handle on our finances, know what direction we need to go, and have those long-term plans, and then also be able to answer those questions for the public when they come up about why we're spending money a certain way.
Very good. In a minute here, Mrs. Vogt, we're going to see some students and your building principal, Mr. Kepley, come in. Just kind of give us a quick preview of what's coming up here in this second segment for folks that are tuning in today.
Yes, so we had an exciting opportunity last spring. Hope Walker, she's our middle school math teacher, and then also has a STEM class. Her and Linda Taylor, who is a retired teacher and comes in to work on STEM projects. They took a group of our 8th grade students to Bloomington, to Heartland Community College for a Kid Wind turbine, I think it's actually wind turbine contest. And our school district had 2 teams qualify for the national competition in Minneapolis in May. So we are going to have those students who attended the competition in Minneapolis come join us. So it's not just me with a bunch of empty chairs for the show today. We're prepared to have those students come in who are now freshmen in high school.
Gotcha.
So it's exciting for them to be able to relive that experience and share their memories.
Nice. Very good. Well, I'll tell you what, Mrs. Vogt, let's break here. I know they're going to join us in just a minute, so we'll await them, and we'll rejoin you with them on the other side of a break. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. Let's check the markets on the RFD radio. We had a lower start today. Corn was higher the first 4 days of the week, so a little give back here, at least in the early going. December corn down 4.5, 417. March down 3 3/4, 431 1/4. July down 2 1/4, 443. November soybeans down 7.5, 988 3/4. Yesterday, November beans settled 16 cents off their high. January down 5.5, 999 1/2. March down 4 1/4, 1011 3/4. Soybean meal for December down 310, 307.30. Soy oil down 11, 44.22. Chicago December wheat down 10 1/4, 571 1/4. KC down 8 3/4. RFD Radio Network.
Bomb Chevrolet Buick offers a full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Bomb Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton or Farmer City. This is what we strive to do each and every day. We'll listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that is knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Bomb Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at bombchevybuick.com. Right from the start.
Paul Scarron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. With October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, our state-of-the-art 3D mammo machine can help detect early cancer. Find out details by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Rainey Miller from Run Deep Coaching. Take your power back. I do holistic personal and business coaching. My service is virtual, so we can visit no matter where you are. Find out more by clicking my icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, today on the phone with, or on the Zoom call with us, we started with Mrs. Mary Vogt, Superintendent of Bement Schools. And you see, if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, a group of students and Mr. Doug Kepley with us here this morning. And good morning, guys. Thanks for making time for us here on a Friday, rainy Friday there in Bement. We appreciate that. Welcome, Mr. Kepley. Tell us about these students you have with you today and what they're doing with us on the morning show here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on this morning. I currently have with us 3 students that are freshmen, and they, as 8th graders last year, had the chance to participate in a middle school STEM class. And from that, it developed to where the teacher said, you know, I would love to be able to do something with windmills, power. And so she looked at some different ideas and have come up with doing something with windmills and power in that sense. So she found a competition that took place at Heartland Community College in Bloomington, entered some teams, and we had 2 teams from Bement place in 1st and 2nd place. So we were really proud of our kids for going in this new area. From that competition, these 2 teams advanced to the national competition in Minneapolis, Minnesota last May. Mm-hmm. And so with me are 3 of those students who were able to attend that national competition. And it was just a great experience. And I just really like for some of the kids to talk about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's go left to right, guys, and introduce yourselves to us here this morning.
I'm Addison France.
I'm Silas Olson.
I'm Madeline Summers.
Very good. Well, let's start with Addison. Addison, tell us a little bit about your experience. What exactly was this competition? What were you kids doing up there at Heartland Community College last year?
So we got a kit and it came with all the basic needs of like how to start basic windmill. So then we built it and went to Heartland Community College and we went into a wind tunnel, and based on how much power our windmill generated was placed. So how much power our windmill generated, so our windmill generated enough power to get second. Yeah.
Silas, how much did you know about wind energy, wind turbines when you decided to do this last year?
When we went into it, we really didn't know much about it other than like what we've seen in the world. But then for like I'd say 2 weeks beforehand, before we really just started building them and doing the kits, we just researched every day in STEM and learned as much as we could, and like what the best things were for like our size windmills and like how many blades we should have and what the pitch of the blade should be.
So forgive me, guys. I've got Addison, Silas, and I'm missing your third name there. I'm sorry. Madeline, tell me a little bit about your experience, Madeline, and what did you learn coming out of this? What was that like for you?
Well, going into it, I didn't really know anything about it. So like researching was really cool, and learning how like clean energy is really actually useful because you don't really like hear about it as much. And going to Heartland College was really cool to experience like the judging, and like you have to do like quick change in between like your testing, and you get like certain amount of tests and you have to like adjust to the quick changes. Mm-hmm.
Addison, what was the end goal of the competition? What was your objective up there?
To win.
Yeah. So Silas, did you know about what you were going to have to do going in? Was there any preparation you were able to do ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that there would be just at the first competition, there would be the one tunnel, and we knew like how fast it'd be and kind of the conditions of it. And we knew like we needed to produce as much joule as possible.
Mhm.
That's pretty much all. I mean, we knew we needed like the best blades possible, like as lightweight and sturdy and stuff. So we did everything that we could at the time.
Yeah. Adeline, tell me about your national competition. Where'd you go for that? What was that experience like?
For the national competition, we went to Minnesota, and well, I don't know what we did. We went to Minnesota, and we went to the convention center.
Mhm.
And at the convention center, there was like 3 different tunnels, and they had low speed, medium speed, and a high speed.
Mhm.
And we had to go like test in each one, and you had certain tokens for like each one, and the highest amount of joules that was produced from each tunnel was like the one that we recorded. And yeah.
Cool. Very good. Very good. Mr. Kepley, Mrs. Vogt, is there anything on this from the students' perspective you want to have them talk about? I've got a few minutes still. I have a few questions, but I want to make sure you guys have a chance to make sure they get in everything you want them to speak on.
Well, one thing that this experience prompted us to do was to develop a STEM class at the high school level as well. So we had middle school STEM, and now we're working on second semester offering a high school STEM class. So then students who have had these great experiences are still able to have the opportunity after middle school.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
what else to talk about as far as the competition, what you learned?
I mean,
What about the speaking to the judges?
yeah, we aside from like the windmill and testing portion, we also had to prepare a presentation. So we made big poster boards, and we also had like a slideshow. And we talked to 3 judges. It was on our last day, and we kind of just laid out like everything that it took to get us where we were and stuff, and that what we'd learned. We talked about all the different materials we used to make the windmill blades, and like the change and amount of blades that we've done, and just everything that we did while we were at the competition, and we're still at school.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Addison, did you meet a lot of friends doing this?
No, because I'm socially awkward.
Fair enough. That's a good one. Adeline, what was your favorite part of this experience?
My favorite part was like going and just like we were the first team from Illinois, so we were the first team that got to experience going to the Kid Win National Challenge, and yeah, I think that the experience was very helpful and cool.
That's great. Well, guys, I hate to do this. I wish we could talk for a little longer, but I got to let you go for the morning. Thanks for stopping in and doing with us. That's the students from the Kid Win Project at Bement Schools, along with Superintendent Mary Vogt and Principal Doug Kepley. Network News on the way.